You know, one of the daughters of the Arkansas farmer actually reached out to me. You know, all the videos have been going around about all these farmers that voted for Trump asking for socialism. She's like, well, my dad agrees with a lot of what you said, but I don't think it's fair to judge him. Well, I do. You know what she didn't say? I didn't vote for him, and my dad didn't vote for him. She goes, you shouldn't assume who he voted for. She knew exactly who she voted for. Don't whisper to me. So I asked her, tell me the people in the Congress and the Senate on the federal and the local levels that your dad voted for, and give me the names of the bills that he proposed for firearm reform and women's safety, and that's going to bring down the price of housing, and I will make a video. I never heard back. See, she and her dad didn't care about anybody else. She didn't care about the officers on January 6th. She didn't care about the children and innocent people in Gaza. She didn't care about Adriana Smith or Amber Thurman or women in Texas that have a 52% mortality rate increase because of Roe versus Wade. She didn't give a damn about anything. They only cared about themselves. And see, that same group of people demonizes, oh, the blue states. California is the 4th largest economy in the world. Between California and New York, we bring in $4.5 trillion in GDP. Wow, sounds like real shithole states, doesn't it? 40 million people live in California. Yeah, sounds like a real dumpster fire, doesn't it? Yeah, you just don't like it because we're successful. You guys are last in education, healthcare, everything. Because you keep voting for the same people in your office because you want to own the libs more than you want to make your lives better. You vote against your own best interest as long as you punish somebody else and somebody else suffers, instead of picking yourself by the bootstraps and putting people in power because you've been told by the white church that abortion and gay people are the worst. Well, it's funny how somehow they justify voting for a white man who's a felon and abuses women, is on his 3rd failed marriage, because I thought marriage was between one man and one woman. But I guess when it comes to the white man, as long as God endorses it, somehow it's okay. But Pete Buttigieg, the guy that's not a felon or doesn't cheat on his husband or didn't cause an insurrection or make fun of disabled people, somehow that's just a bridge too far. And this is why we're here. Because people like those farmers didn't care about anybody except for me, me, me. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and all they do is love thyself. And now that you got called out for your hypocrisy, you don't like it. Well, that's too damn bad. Because there's a lot of people that are suffering, women, people that are disabled, people that have Medicare, because you only voted for yourself. So please, and I say this as a person of faith, shove your crosses right up your ass because nobody wants to hear it. When you start giving a damn about other people other than yourself, then you can call yourself a person, a Christian. You have yourself a white day.
If you've followed me for any length of time, you know that my big conspiracy theory is that Arkansas is not a real place. Like, I know there's supposedly a state and everything, and Bill Clinton was from there, but like, have you ever really met somebody from Arkansas? Despite all that, though, the deep state wants us to believe that Arkansas exists, and as a result, they get 2 senators. And one of those senators is Tom Cotton, and he is awful. Now, I've got a good friend who claims he's from Arkansas. I'm still not sold. His name's Robert, but you might know him as Defiance 13. I called him nonetheless to see what Arkansans, what they think about him. And apparently, they don't seem to think there's much to think about him at all because he's never around, he doesn't hold town halls, he left for some Ivy League school, ended up in D.C., and never comes back. He's out there worrying about things like cash bail in D.C. rather than the real problems that the supposedly real Arkansasans are facing. Like the farm crisis we are currently in that's causing families in Arkansas and around the country to lose their farms and farmer suicide rates to skyrocket to their highest levels ever. But thankfully, Arkansas has a chance to pick cotton out of Congress because 6th-generation farmer Hallie Schaffner is coming to harvest his seat. And judging from the blue wave of wins we just saw, I don't see any reason she can't. And she understands firsthand the struggles that working-class Americans are going through thanks to people like Tom Cotton. And now she's got all the time in the world to do the job Tom Cotton refuses to do, representing people from Arkansas and working-class families nationwide. Because thanks to the farm crisis that Tom Cotton helped create, the farm that's been in her family for 6 generations has been lost. And that's why she's running for Senate, because not only is she salt of the earth, but she is salty about all the lives left in ruins by the people the billionaires have bought in Washington. And she is the only farmer running for Senate anywhere in the midterms. So you might be wondering why the hell you haven't heard about her until now, because she should be on the news every single single day representing rural America and who can represent them. Well, we know the billionaires have already bought all of our media, and if they can't buy you, you don't get airtime on it. But who the hell needs them? Because with victories in places like Virginia and New York and California and New Jersey and Colorado, we've showed that we can do this without them. So let's get to doing. And obviously every candidate needs donations, so if you can donate, that's great. But what she really needs right now is the name recognition and platform the media won't give her to get out her message. So let's give it to her. Do all the things that'll make this video get seen, and then go immediately from here to her page and follow her. Because I don't know about you, but I am sick and fucking tired of rural areas and red states getting ignored when some of the best candidates our country has to offer, who truly understand the worst of what we are going through, come from there. So you'll be hearing a hell of a lot more from me about Hallie and other candidates like her, but let's make sure you're not only hearing it from me and everybody is hearing about them. Because 2026 is our time to take our country back from the billionaires.
Oh, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is big mad right now because her and the state of Arkansas are getting exactly what they voted for. Because you see, last month, 14 tornadoes touched down in the state of Arkansas, devastating multiple counties, destroying businesses, and sadly taking the lives of 3 people and injuring dozens of others. But you see, the state of Arkansas also voted for an administration that wanted to leave disaster relief up to the states. So I'm not even sure why you guys applied for relief funds, but you did, and you were denied. All right, they said it was nothing outside the realm which your state and local agencies could handle. So I don't know what they're seeing that you're not, but it might be time for you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to work. Your state depends on you. You're the one who led the way, telling them that this administration was going to be great for your state and your country. I don't know. I voted for federal relief fund, okay, because I don't want your state to suffer. But hey, you voted for hate, and those 15 people can't play field hockey now. So I guess it was worth it in the long run. Good luck.
Hello everyone, it's Anthony, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And it's always amazing having you here, my viewers, my subscribers, and you really mean a lot to me. So my question is, why does the government in the red states really hate their citizens? Tell me in the comment section.
Here's the problems with Arkansas. They got poverty and income inequality. Arkansas has some of the highest poverty rates in the United States, with associated issues such as food insecurity and lack of access to health care. This has been going on for a very long time, and it's just going to get worse. They also really dropped the ball when it comes to educational attainment. The state has historically had lower levels of educational attainment compared to the national average, which can affect workforce development and economic opportunities. Rural challenges are another problem Arkansas has. As a largely rural state, Arkansas faces the typical challenges of rural areas, including job scarcity, brain drain, and limited access to services. Arkansas also has 2 of the most dangerous cities in the United States, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Little Rock. And those aren't going to get any better. Number 6.
About 2 months ago, I stopped eating dinner almost every night of the week so that my boyfriend and I could have enough food left over to have lunch the next day, because I personally need to eat more in the middle of the day to be able to accomplish all that I have to do during the day. By dinner time, nighttime, whatever. If I'm hungry, I can just fall asleep through it. It doesn't really matter. This was before we were about to lose our food stamps. Mind you, we both work. I've worked since I was 14 years old. I have a college degree. But because we have children, and because aftercare and before care is too expensive, I've taken a job that's basically minimum wage so that I can be there to pick up my kids. I cannot fathom what we're going to do without that food stamp money, because if I already couldn't eat dinner with that food stamp money. So yeah, I'm glad some of you are happy.
Arkansas overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, but now his tariffs are crushing its farmers. Watch.
And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up, so after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Now, under Trump, farmers face over $1 billion in projected losses this season. Up to a third could go under because Trump's big, beautiful bill won't release farm aid until late next year, and that's way too late. But when Joe Biden was president, farmers had relief programs while the disasters were happening. There was no, hey, you're going to have to wait until late next year. And when Kamala Harris ran, she proposed giving small farmers more access to credit, to crop insurance, while cracking down on big agriculture, and even pushing the right to repair law so that farmers could fix their own equipment. And look, I'm not under the illusion that one day Arkansas is suddenly going to vote blue. What I am saying is that the idea that Joe Biden or Kamala Harris didn't reach out to the working class or farmers is bullshit, because by any metric, Biden-Harris delivered more for farmers than Donald Trump did. Donald Trump ran on tariffs, and these farmers knew the consequences and still voted for him. And now, because of their steadfast commitment to allowing Donald Trump to help tank their business, they're now going to have to be bailed out with our blue state federal tax dollars.
Arkansas farmers, this is for you. If you don't want to lose your daddies and your granddaddies and your daddy's farms, then you better pressure your legislators to impeach Trump, because they're going to let your farms foreclose, and then Trump and J.D. Vance and their greedy corporate private equity buddies are going to swoop up your long-standing family farms for pennies on the fucking dollar and sell them to the highest bidder, probably in a foreign country. Way to go, America. We can do this. We can do better. You can do better. But it takes Republicans to pressure the Republicans to save us. That's you too.
So Trump supporters are now saying that they don't want Donald Trump to just deport migrants to Alligator Alcatraz, but they want him to deport the entire Hispanic population to Alligator Alcatraz, even if they are U.S. citizens. So here is what Laura Loomer, a top MAGA influencer who often has the ears of the president, just posted on her account. Quote, "Alligator lives matter. The good news is alligators are guaranteed at least 65 million meals if we get started now." So guess how many Hispanics there are in the United States? That's right, 65 million. So what Laura Loomer is advocating for here is for Donald Trump to send the entire Hispanic population to be eaten alive by alligators at his internment camp. What are we doing here, guys? And how is it possible that he increased his voter share among Latinos in the 2024 election? That will never make sense to me, and this is crazy.
And someone might ask, what will be the breaking point of these MAGA Americans? What will be the breaking point? When will the collapse happen to the extent that they will realize that maybe they should vote in their favor? They should vote for people who really take care of their interests. And my answer is, the collapse is in effect. We are breathing it, we are eating it, we are seeing it. But still, these MAGA Americans, their eyes are still closed, they are open. So they don't give a damn what's happening in our country. So let's continue watching, and give me your comments in the comment section, so we'll be discussing.
Could possibly be the largest money bill that you've ever dealt with.
That was Senator Jimmy Hickey speaking against SB 307, a bill that will increase utility rates in Arkansas by at least 20%. Now, the intent of this bill is to expand energy infrastructure in Arkansas. And the reason we need that expansion is because Entergy Arkansas, our main utility provider, entered into a legal agreement to shut down 2 coal power plants in Arkansas, one by 2028 and one by 2030. Now, they've talked a lot about what they're doing to increase capacity leading up to those closures. But what we found out in the legislature this week is that it's going to cost a lot more to make this happen. And of course, it's not coming out of the taxes we've already paid in. No, they're going to put it on us. We're going to pay for it, and we're going to pay for it even if projects aren't completed. This is the second version of this bill that's come out. The first version was ridiculous. Listen to what Alan Clark had to say about that bill.
Having seen the first version of this bill that came out, I said back then, just having read this version, I don't know that I can vote for any version, no matter how much they change it, because it was so arrogant. It looks like it was written by a corporate lawyer to see how far they could get over on us. I'm too disgusted to vote yes. I'm not going to blame you if you do.
Now, this failed by 1 vote in the Senate on Wednesday. Legislators brought it back on Thursday, and Senator Jimmy Hickey came in with a motion to refer this back to the Public Service Commission, which, remember, is headed up by former Republican chairman and operative Doyle Webb, whose wife is a Supreme Court Justice, Barbara Webb. I believe for a minute, the Doyle Webb isn't going to be looking out for the Republican Party in this to make sure that they don't take too many hits for this bill. But I want you to listen closely to how Senator Hickey phrases his motion, because there are some important points in here about the independence he wants to see in this analysis. Independence from political influence and from influence by the utility companies. Now, this is going to come back next week. If you want to reach out to your lawmaker, I would do it quick, because they are supposed to have this analysis back Monday at 9 a.m., and they're going to move on it.
The motion is the Arkansas Senate requests that the PSC, Public Service Commission, of course, to give an analysis and recommended language in regards to SB 307 by Monday, 9 a.m., March 10, 2025. These recommendations should include, but are not limited to, the following: how to best allow this CWIP, which will provide adequate protections to ratepayers, while also providing the expediency to maintain and efficiently expand our energy generation. How to require definitions as to what should be considered as a strategic investment and allowed under this rider. Any recommendations on how to quickly determine the feasibility of projects and whether they are providing a positive cost benefit to the state of Arkansas. Any recommendation on how to structure any additional aspects of the bill which the PSC may deem problematic. And then the final thing was the request for Chairman Webb to establish and provide an environment in preparing this document in a way which is free from outside influence from the legislative branch, the executive branch, any utilities, any industry, or any other party who may have a vested interest in this bill.
Did you see this video of this woman from South Africa talking about how on a Facebook group she saw that Afrikaner refugees here in the U.S. are struggling and are thinking about going back?
A family of refugees has been placed in this town, and they have had like no food. I know that there's this, and I don't know what to think because I didn't really follow it at all when it happened, but I think they were of the understanding that they were going to be arriving here to like complete assistance, and I think people here thought that they were going to be arriving to a house and a job and medical insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff, and it actually isn't that way at all. There have been like 4 adults in a hotel room with no money, no cell phone, no anything, and like the humanitarian in me, I can't ignore the fact that these people are struggling, but there's this one side of me that's like, fuck that.
If you hadn't heard the story, Trump has been letting Afrikaner refugees, heavy on the quotes, into the U.S. They came here with the lie that the South African government is persecuting them because they're white. So at a time where Trump is not allowing any refugees to come into the country, he is allowing Afrikaners into the country. And like this article perfectly states, they're not refugees, they're opportunists. And these opportunists really thought that when they got to the U.S., they were going to get a house, a job, a car, a cell phone, health insurance completely paid for. They really thought that Daddy Donnie was going to take taxpayer money and give it to them. You know, believing all those lies that people of color come to the U.S. to seek refugee or asylum, and then they have it on easy street, which, surprise, surprise, it's not true. And it doesn't matter how much those South Africans hate it here, they can't just go back home. Like the Department of International Relations said, these Afrikaner refugees cannot just go back to South Africa or get assistance from South Africa because they're supposed to be under the protection of the United States and Donald Trump. And if these Afrikaner refugees want to be welcomed back as citizens, they have to revoke their status in order for this to happen. If these Afrikaners are struggling in the U.S. and they want to go back home, basically they have to admit, we lied. I think it's kind of humorous to me that their lies have backfired on them and that Donald Trump has left them stranded. However, it's very frustrating that people who actually have to seek asylum and refuge in the U.S. because they're trying to escape danger and persecution are not being allowed in, but these opportunists are being fast-tracked. And as always, please consider becoming a paid subscriber on here so I can continue bringing you stories like these.
It's funny how in North Carolina, when Joe Biden authorized the disaster management, he authorized full FEMA assistance for the people in North Carolina. All these MAGAs were like, they're not doing enough. They're not doing enough. These people are homeless. These people need our help. And people were packing their cars and trucking over to go help them. And then what happened? Trump denied the 100%, match and cut them off. And now disaster survivors of Arkansas left homeless by recent tornadoes have been blocked from receiving any federal recovery. And the President, Donald Trump, has rejected the state's request to declare a major disaster in March. So they are on their own. So I want to know from you MAGA-bites and stuff like that, why isn't the government stepping in and doing enough? Sarah Huckabee Sanders is trying to get Trump to reconsider this disaster relief because of her state. And reminder, this state is poor. So, come on. Let's get the bandwagon going. Let's get, these are people here that are struggling. All right? They need our help, and they need the federal government to step in and help.
This just happened and I'm still shaking, so please stick with me for just a minute. I was just coming out of my doctor's appointment when this happened. But as I was backing out of my parking space, there was nobody coming. As I was almost completely pulled out, the woman parked across from me, pulled her car out a little too fast, and she hit me pretty hard. And I jumped out of the car. She jumped out of the car. She immediately started crying. I asked her if she was okay. She said yes, she was okay, and she just kept saying, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. And then she opened the back seat of her car to check on her children. She had probably about a 3-year-old, maybe a 5-year-old, and she was asking them if they were okay. She said they're fine. She was just hysterically crying, which I didn't quite understand because it was just a little fender bender. So when I looked down to look at the damage of the cars, her car had a fairly noticeable dent. Mine just had a really, really tiny, barely noticeable dent. But she just started saying to me, no policía, por favor, no policía, por favor. And she looked so terrified. And I just said to her, I said, what's the matter? Are you undocumented? She said, no, I have my green card, but that doesn't matter anymore. She said, they'll call ICE. ICE will take me away. And she was shaking. She was visibly shaking. She was so scared. Take my kids away. They're going to send me away. And I just told her, I said, it's okay. We don't have to call the police. It's fine. And she gave me the tightest hug I feel like I've ever had. And she just sobbed. I'm still shaking from this. She has a green card. And she's terrified. This is Trump's America. This is the America that we're living in right now.
So, what's happening in our country at the moment is deliberate, it's intentional, and it's coordinated attack against our livelihoods, against our economy, against our middle class. My name is Anthony, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't commented, make sure that you comment. So, my issue is Americans are hardworking people, People want to make a living from honest work, right? Yes, it's cool here, whereby you can start from scratch and build something up. But what we have viewed or what we have experienced since 2016, or since maybe when Bush became president, or maybe when Reagan became president, or maybe when Nixon became president, is the fact that our government is intentionally destroying our economy so that the rich can continue being richer and the poor can continue being poor. In short, our economy or our country is designed in such a way that maybe when you are poor, you are of no use anymore. Maybe you should die. You know what I mean? So that's the whole issue. That's the whole problem that's affecting our country. And Trump, a New York billionaire, lied to MAGA Americans in these red states that he was against the system. That he would be the one who would solve all the problems which are affecting them. You know what I mean? But when he got power, he exactly did the opposite. Since the beginning, since his first term, tax cut to billionaires, deregulating our financial sector so that billionaires can play with our pension money the way they want, you know, because they don't face the consequences when our economy collapses. So the mess we are in, it's done by the government. And this is treason against the American people. Most of you will agree with me on that. This is treason against the American people, which is happening. And Trump should be impeached, charged, what else? Maybe jailed. The process, I don't know. Because he is not using his power to promote general welfare, which is stated in our constitution. Trump is using his powers to favor the billionaires. What do you think? Tell me in the comment section. To sum it up, it's so sad that some American states are being turned into third world countries intentionally by the government. It's very sad what's happening in our country. We are against the largest organized mafia in the world, which is the United States government. And what led us to this problem? Majority of Democrat Americans who did get out to vote during the 2024 general elections. Because when I say Democrats are the majority, you can see in the last week elections, we swept. You know, Democrats are the majority. But when it comes to voting, most of us don't vote. And we give these people a leeway to the presidency, a leeway to the Senate, a leeway to the House of Representatives. We make it easy for them. So let's always ensure that we vote so that our country cannot be destroyed again by this MAGA cult. So until the next video, watch blue, talk blue, listen blue, vote blue. Don't fall for the government psyop. And thank you for your attention to this matter.